At this stage, you need to render the base of the clock to make it look like wood. The reason we should do this is to make the design look more realistic. The end of a piece of wood looks like a rainbow of curves. This represents the rings that are found if a tree has been cut down and then you look in the centre of the tree. The tree would then be cut into strips or planks to be used to construct a wide range of different things. Each ring represents a year's growth. The darker parts of the rings represent the winter and the lighter sections of the summer. If we use the whole tree in one go, it would be a full circle that you would draw on the end of a piece of wood. However, very often it's only a quarter circle or a half circle that you would see, depending on the size of the piece of wood. To make it look like a piece of wood, you would need to draw a rainbow of curves in the place shown on the video. This will be a large number of quarter circles. Repeat these curves on the end of the vertical piece of wood. The next stage is to draw small circles. These represent the knots that would be found on the wood. The knots used to be branches. If you look closely, knots are made up of a large number of small rings. The rings also represent the seasons in the same way we spoke about in the centre of the tree. 2 or 3 knots on each face is more than enough. They can be positioned randomly on the wood. Now, draw parallel lines that run along the length of the wood. The lines should match up with the curves found on the end of the wood. The lines represent the grain that is found on the wood. The grain is simply the rings running through the wood. When the lines meet the knots, they curve around them in the way shown in the video. Repeat this stage for all the other surfaces. Watch the video closely. Remember to make sure the grain lines are parallel to the horizontal or vertical lines of the stand, except when they meet the knots. At this stage, you will need to render the tone of the drawing. This just means putting different amounts of pressure on your pencil. We do this to make the drawing look more realistic. Every object that is in the light is affected by the direction the light is coming from, and also it is affected by what is around it. For example, if the object is in a room with just one light source and nothing reflective around it, then it would be easier to figure out which section of the object are darker and which sections are lighter. This just means putting more pressure with your pencil on the sections that are supposed to be dark and less pressure on the other sections. You will first need to draw a small sun or light source in the top left-hand corner to show where the light hits the clock. This will help you think about where the light, dark and medium shades will be. Shade the right-hand side of the stand firmly to make it look dark because it is on the opposite side to the light source or the sun. Shade the front of the clock stand that is directly under the clock face firmly because it will be hidden under the clock face. As you shade down the face, try to reduce the pressure to make it look lighter. Go around the outside of the section you have just shaded to make the border slightly darker. This just highlights the shape and makes it stand out. Repeat the previous stage for the next 2 sections.